Yes, you guys, welcome back. I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions TV, and with the window ending tomorrow at 11 PM, it's only natural that news videos will be dominating these next 48 hours, and we have some more reports to discuss today. For this latest News Elite video, I'm going to break down the big 4 stories that have just broken. We're going to discuss the future of Loftus, who is open to leaving on loan for the window ends. We're going to discuss Bakayoko securing his move to AC Milan. We're going to discuss the latest news surrounding Hudson Odoi, with the player agreeing terms with Dortmund. However, at this point in time, the club are putting a block to that potential loan move. I'm going to break down if this is the right thing to do and why Callum needs to go out on loan. And of course, for the final story, you guys, we still have some more updates surrounding our continued efforts to bring in SAUL on loan. So I hope you guys definitely do enjoy. I've released the Kunde video today as well, you guys. So today I got you for content, yeah? So make sure you have those notification buttons on for me. Without wasting any more time, I need to get one quick plug out of the way first. Today's video is powered by OneFootball, the best football companion app on the market. An app I've been using since before I was even lucky enough to get a deal with them. Honestly, you guys, you can't afford to not have it before the transfer window does end. There's going to be a ton of stories and players still leaving. We still have many players who still need to get loan moves, and we are still going to do some business before the window does end. With OneFootball, you get alerts immediately straight to your phone. You can follow players individually to get even more specific news on them. You can follow the clubs to get more specific news on them. Honestly, this is the transfer app to have. If you want to try out for yourselves, do it, because there is a new football season and I'm telling you, you're going to love it. You'll find a link below in the description. Now, we start things with the first story, and let's discuss the latest news surrounding Ruben Loftus-Cheek, because it does seem like the player now is open to potentially leaving on loan. Ideally, the club were hoping to keep him just to have more options to, keep the squad fit, healthy and full. However, Ruben is not feeling like he'll get consistent minutes right now after going injury-free from last season. He wants to have the best career he can have. He wants to play more consistently, and the club could potentially be open to a move because Ampadu has been told he has to remain. And of course, we are still making efforts to sign SAUL on loan. For me, it's no surprise Ruben's head has turned. He has so much interest coming up from Serie A. Clubs like Lazio, clubs like Napoli as well now, and Roma too. So considering just how transformative moving to Serie A has been for players like Tammy, Tamori and many others, this could be the perfect league and the next stepping stone to make for Ruben to fully get back to his full groove, being able to play in his best position, which is box to box. Because for me, if he was to go to a Premier League club, you'd be accepting that comfort and the wages over having the best career. Because the reality is, especially in this league now, there's not many 4-3-3 systems, there's not many teams using box-to-box mids, and a lot of managers prefer focusing on work rate and defending over things like technical abilities. So for me, Serie A is Ruben's calling cards. He smacks it there, then anything can happen for him in the future. Still though, even though the club aren't open to pushing him to move, if he does go, ideally they want an option to buy or an obligation to buy set at the end of that current loan spell. So let's see what happens with Ruben. Let's see what decision he ultimately makes. So right now, we move on to the second story, and we have more updates surrounding Callum Hudson-Odoi and Borussia Dortmund, because today, as it was reported by Sky Sports Germany, Hudson-Odoi has agreed personal terms with Borussia Dortmund. The hold up though is that the club have currently and initially blocked anything from happening right now due to not having that depth in the squads, and I'm going to get on that very, very soon, you guys. It seems like if Callum is potentially able to get a loan move, it's going to depend on signing Kunde right at the end or bringing in someone like a SAUL, because the club won't allow him to go anywhere unless someone comes in first. With Kunde, it makes sense. Azpilicueta can play as that backup wing back, and SAUL can also fill multiple roles throughout the squad as well. It feels interesting that Tuchel could potentially just jeopardize his move, considering that he barely ever plays for him anyway. Considering that in 17 games, I found this amazing tweet from an amazing Twitter account. You guys can see it on screen, 17 games. Look at the minutes he's picked up. That's nothing. That's 178 minutes and 1,500 minutes of football. So having him fill a spot for no reason is such a waste of his talent, a waste of his ability. especially when the manager seems to have no faith in using him as a wingback, even though he knows wingback is not his best position. So this feels like such a terrible position for Callum to be in currently, where, you know, there's no space for him in his best position. He only gets minutes in a position that he's never played in before, and of course he's struggling naturally to do anything there, because even if he was to do something, you'd have to get way more minutes than what's currently being dished out to him. So you guys, I'm gonna give my thoughts and opinions behind this, even though I kind of have already, and I don't know, you know, it goes back to my thing on poor squad management, because when you have a player like Livramento, young wonder kids who is ready made for that position, Hudson Odoi should have been removed away from there straight away. I'm sorry, it's just like an absolute waste for everyone. And to think that Callum's future could be jeopardized now is not really sitting too right with me. I mean, there's a ton of reasons why a move to Dortmund should make a lot of sense. One of my first reasons is Jude Bellingham. This guy has been one of the longest club targets for years and years and years. I actually feel like in our future, he will be part of our midfield as we upgrade it over the next few years. And to build that relationship with Dortmund should be key. You have Callum going on loan there for a year or two, or anything at least, you know, that is putting in those stepping stones to get ourselves ahead in the race to sign Bellingham, because every club in Europe soon will have to reinforce their midfield, and he is going to be the player every big club will look at. So that's one reason to do that. I think another reason is we have to accept the reality that the guy is not a wingback. He is not wingback Odoi. He can't do that. That is a waste of all his talents and his abilities. And it's this personal frustration of mine where, you know, like a young player, you know, he makes his name playing in his best position, which is the left wing. And that's the reason why he gets into the first team to begin with. Once he then gets into the first team, there's no options to play in his best position, meaning that to get minutes, he has to play in positions unfamiliar to him. And then it's a surprise when he doesn't maybe excel as people expect. It doesn't make any sense to me, to be honest. With Callum, the benefit should be this. If we're going to persist with the back three forever, then maximize him, let him go on loan, let him play minutes in his best position, because the reality could be as well too, if he never makes it here, this could be a player that is worth 100 million. That 100 million you're getting from a Bayern Munich, or I don't know, like a Real Madrid in the future, or wherever, can be reinvested into signing another defender or another player suited to the current system you're using. Or better yet, if he performs and excels on loan there, you have a serious option to use for next season, where you can really plan ahead on how you're gonna, you know, manage the squads and shape how the squad's gonna look like in the future. I feel Callum's done everything he needs to do. He's shown his commitment to trying to understand a new role that's unfamiliar. You know, he was one of the first players to come back during pre-season. He turned down the chance to play for the England under-21 team too. And to be honest, I think Tuchel has always been particularly a bit too harsh on him. I'm sorry. I noticed this in that game last season against Southampton where, you know, he came on, did nothing bad compared to other players in that field. I'm sorry, maybe he wasn't doing things to the level Tuchel wanted, but I mean, give the guy a break. When's he ever played as a wingback for this club? So I definitely think that I understand sometimes you got to be tough with certain players, that's the approach, but there's got to be some fairness there as well. At least show him that, you know, there is some faith there, and give him some minutes playing in his best position. I'm sorry. Too often we allow business to get in the way of development, and if we jeopardize Callum's potential just for short-term reasons, just for our own fault for not securing a target potentially before the window does end, that'll be a disgrace, because Tuchel will never use him as a wing-back in a big game. It's quite clear. We saw Aspie replace him. We saw Aspie play there, wing-back against Liverpool. It will always be like that. In 17 games, you guys, he hasn't played 12 of them. Do you understand that? He's got minutes in 5 games out of the past 17. I mean, come on. Come on, you guys. Don't ruin this chance for him to have the best career he can, or to, you know, fully get his confidence back playing in his best position, by not letting him go to Dortmund, because you don't want to wait 3-4 months till the January window opens. There's enough depth here. There's Ampadu here who can play as another centre-back if we need it, and there's Aspie here as well. So for me, there's no excuse. But that's my opinions. You guys share yours below. I'm definitely curious to see how you feel about Hudson Odoi potentially remaining because the club block him for moving on loan to Dortmund. Now to move on, you guys, there's 2 more stories. We have some more updates surrounding SAUL. Now, I feel like these reports from Spain are reports we're not fully focusing on too much because, all this current news coming out suggesting moves potentially being off have kind of been alluded to for a while based on reports coming out from Spain. And, we've got more details behind the current issues surrounding SAUL. Right now, Atletico Madrid are even thinking about keeping him for this season. And one of the reasons behind that is that ideally, if they're selling him, they're only selling him if it's guarantees they will get some money at the end of it and that he will go, because they will use that money to reinvest that into other areas. The reality is that SAUL signed a 9-year deal not too long ago. He's on big wages, long-term contracts. Considering that he doesn't fit into the current setup and can't play his best football in it, it's time for him to go. So I completely understand that from Atleti. The issue is though, is that they want that obligation to buy right at the end. We don't want to do that, but considering we have less than 48 hours left, could we be forced and pressured into accepting those demands to sign him? That would be quite interesting to me. I'm not going to give my thoughts on SAUL anymore. I think I've done that enough times, you guys. As I said, either you can trust what I say or not. Everyone's their own free man, but I've seen him, I've watched him, and for me, he's just not the same player anymore. But to continue on, you guys, SAUL is open to a Prem move, even though he has some slight worries considering that the club didn't really give him that confidence that he'd get consistent minutes. Of course, being in a new environment in the Premier League, that could bring out a new energy, competition, a new confidence in him that could, really get his career back and running again. But the reality is that even the player himself has a little bit of doubts as well. So this is going to be very interesting to see. Did I ever expect that SAUL would be the player that we look at? It's, filling a midfield position that we've needed for a while, considering we've had talents like Gallagher, who's doing bits at Palace right now, Gilmore, who's always shown that when you play him, he never lets the team down, and considering that there's players like Rice, Romeni, and, midfield players of this stature that could actually be the profile we need more than a SAUL. I'm not too sure, you guys, but we will see what happens in the end. So right now, we end things with the final story, and we discuss Bakayoko because Bakayoko has today completed his move back to AC Milan. Now, he signs on a 2-year loan deal that has an obligation to buy right at the end set at 50 million euros, which is great business. I mean, Bakayoko, he's been on many loans, we know this. Many loans with option to buys that never materialized right in the end. But regardless, before he was able to do that, he had to sign a contract extension all the way to 2024, which allows us to maintain more monetary value in the player. Good news is though, is that we get at least 1 million in terms of a loan fee. Of course, the wages are subsidized as well too. And on top of that, we are guaranteed to get money in the end. So I'm sure maybe one of you guys, if we do all the maths and calculations behind all the money we've generated from Bakayoko loan fees and wages being subsidized, and plus with 50 million guaranteed at the end, maybe we've got our money back for him over the years since we bought him, potentially. But to be honest, I do sympathize for him. It must be hard to build that consistency in your career when you're constantly playing for a new team, new manager, new tactics, introducing yourself to new teammates every single season. So for me, it's great that he returned back to Milan. Probably is one of his best loan spells there, to be honest, and it's a club that really wanted him to as well. Many exciting players there, exciting project. They're looking very good starting this season, strong too. So I'm happy for him, and let's hope that he's able to really build now in his career now that he has that consistency. So there you have it, you guys. That is the end for another News Daily video today. There might be a Q&A live stream out later today. Stay tuned on Twitter. I'm going to update you guys as well too. But on that note, I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.